So it's been 10 years since I first started my cosplay journey as an Imperial Stormtrooper, but this year is actually going to be my dad's first year as a Chewbacca cosplayer. Kind of insulted that he's decided to go for a rebel costume, but it's Chewie. Everybody loves a Wookiee, and I go that it is a pretty cool suit. So today we're going to go through the whole costume. This isn't a costume build, this is just a look at the parts that we got, parts that we've modified, and other things that have been done just to make this costume be more comfortable and look a bit better for Dad to wear. Also, this is version 1 of Chewbacca. He is currently finished, but in the end we do plan to have him as an Empire Strikes Back version with C-3PO on his back, the same as Adam Savage's. So we're going to use motors to make C-3PO move and talk and things like that. So 3PO is currently sitting in that box that's underneath Chewbacca's head. So first up, just one bit which you have already seen before on this channel that I'm just going to finish off and show you guys what it looks like now. So first up is the Wookiee Bowcaster. Now this is a full 3D print done by my buddy Geek and Cosplay. So as it's a 3D print, we are considering this the stunt version of Chewie's Bowcaster. So this one shouldn't have any issues going to Comic-Con, because at the moment there are a lot of weapon restrictions at Comic-Con. So this is obviously just a lightweight plastic piece. There's no moving parts, no trigger, nothing like that. So you can quite easily see this is a prop weapon. This isn't anything that's actually dangerous or anything you can actually hurt someone with. But if you have seen my video on how to prep and paint 3D printed pieces, you would have seen this already, just not in its finished state, as I didn't quite have enough time to finish both guns before I get the video out. This one did take a lot longer because it had a lot more curved edges than my Republic Commander blaster, which meant the print lines were a little bit harder to get out. So lots of filling, sanding, priming. Gave it a little paint job, which is some bronze and some black with a little bit of silver highlights just for a little bit of weathering, not too much though. And you've got one finished Wookiee Bowcaster. Moving on to the next accessory, we have Chewbacca's bandolier and satchel. This bandolier is made by Mel Matteson, otherwise known as C. Yoda Run, and specialise in things such as Wookiee bandoliers. I will leave a link to their stuff down in the description below if you're looking for something like this. So the bandolier did come complete with everything. All the full leather work was done, all the drop boxes are stuck on, the satchel was already done. The only thing that was added was something that just makes it so it doesn't rub on the suit and doesn't fall off. So underneath we actually have a neoprene strip that runs all the way down on the underside of the leather. This is to stop it rubbing so much on the fur, because the way the fur is done on the suit, the leather can rub on it, mat it, and then start pulling bits out of the suit, which means you have to keep re-adding the hair. So this just adds to the longevity of the actual suit itself. Also, thank you to Jason Buxton of VR, who is their resident Chewbacca, for giving some tips and tricks on how to look after the Chewbacca suit. Because obviously we deal with Imperial stuff here, we've never had to deal with Rebel scum before. Now this here glued in between the leather and the neoprene itself is just a strip of webbing. So basically when the bandolier is on, this strip of webbing goes underneath around the side, obviously massive on me, but on Chewbacca it fits fine. So it means that when you're wandering about, the belt's not going to slip over your shoulder like that. It holds it in place, you don't have to worry about keep pushing it up, or when you look over it starts to move. So it just keeps it nice and solidly in place, and this is thin enough that you can just brush the fur over the top and it hides the fact you've got an extra strap there. And moving on to the bit you obviously want to see the most, the Chewbacca fursuit. Now the whole of the suit was bought from Evil Chimp Designs, who specialises in doing Wookiee costumes. I think they're the most popular person that actually does the Chewbacca suit. Now the fursuit itself actually comes in 4 parts. You've got the shirt, the trousers, the gloves, and the mask. So the fursuit is actually made of netting with synthetic hair added on the top. Now in a lot of cases of homemade Wookiee costumes, the fur is normally done by hook and latch. It does take a while to do, and so you feed it through the hole in the netting, pull it out the other side, so it naturally latches on, and then you do it layer by layer by layer till you get full coverage of fur. Now Evil Chimp's design ones, obviously you've still got decent coverage amount of fur, but they have actually used glue to stick it on because it takes a lot less time. So I would recommend buying a little hook and latch tool and seeing if you can get some extra fur, which they kindly did send us for some of the tweaks that we made to the suit, just so you can keep up with repairs, and over time just add a little bit more hair here and there to anywhere you think is needed. But this glue is super strong stuff, so the hair doesn't come out too easily. Now when you first get your costume, it will. I mean, I've cleaned up in here so many times and it's still covered in loose Wookiee fur. I don't think I'm going to get rid of it for a good few years yet. But as well, you may think, oh my god, being covered in so much fur, it must make it really hot, but that's another benefit of having the base layer being netting rather than anything like a solid cotton or something like that. I can't talk because I've not worn the suit, but from what Dad says, you actually get a really good breeze coming through the costume if you're standing outside. So it will get hot when you're indoors, but if you're outside and there's a nice breeze, said it's the easy way to cool down. It's not horribly uncomfortable. So if you're someone who does struggle with heat in costumes, if this is an outside gig, you'll be fine. This is the next hairy accessory for the suit. These are the gloves. These are kind of like rubber workman's gloves. So you've got sort of a nice textured pattern on there, and the fur is just glued down to the back of the hand, so it kind of covers it. You can trim it a little bit if it's too long, but it sort of covers the fact that there's a glove, and with the extra hair there, it will also mask the line between where the shirt ends and where the glove begins. Now you notice from the bottom of this glove there looks to be a key fob dangling out. This is another little addition we have to this costume. So a lot of stormtroopers will recognize this. This is a tramp voice amp. So basically this will obviously amplify your voice. If you're a stormtrooper, you get the static burst at the end of when you say something, and it also comes preloaded with a load of character voices and sound effect clips.
Tramp online.
Chewbacca.
So you can hang this just down from a lanyard or somewhere inside your costume, depending which costume you've got. I will be doing a full look at the tramp amp, as well as some other bits that we're getting from them for a couple of other projects. And what is actually inside the gloves here is, in 3 of the fingers we actually have button triggers. Now you do actually get 4 button triggers, so you can do it on all 4 of your fingers, but Dad only wanted it on the 3 because he has trouble doing that. And the key fob that's hanging out the bottom is actually the same as the button triggers, so you can take the key fob and use it somewhere else if you don't want something in the glove, but it's easier because you can activate it without people really noticing. If you're holding the gun, you can hold it, press up against the gun, and you'll activate different sounds. So we went through the tramp files and decided on the sounds that we wanted to put on each of the fingers. We got the laugh. We've got one which we're going to use for like if someone says, hey, can I take a picture with you? You've kind of got like a short like a yes, and you've got one that's a little bit more aggressive, kind of, so that's more like a no, or just general sort of chit chat between Wookiees kind of thing, so nice and easy. Then all you gotta do is remember which one is on which finger, so you can time your head and mouth movements to the actual speech that's coming out of the amp. Here's the bit everybody wants to see. So this is the full Chewbacca mask. He's looking a little bit Return of the Jedi at the moment with the hair kind of down like that. So he needs to be styled a little bit more with some proper gel. But this is actually a pretty cool mask. Now this was one of the things that did need tweaking. Of course, everybody's shape is different, so it's going to be hard for the maker to determine what size and shape your head's going to be. So when you get a mask like this, you got to be prepared that you got to do some work to get it to fit properly. So the innards of the mask are hidden under this big flap of hair. So inside the mask is a lot of upholstery foam, as well as EVA foam, just to pack out certain bits to make sure it fits properly on the face. And we also removed and replaced the old strapping system, which honestly was a pain to get on and off. It involved a strap coming down from the top of the head and a strap either side with like a little buckle that you gotta like pull the actual webbing through to get it to stay, but it just wouldn't stay properly. And trying to do that on someone who is wearing stilts, because they can't see or feel what they're doing back there, so a handler's got to do it, is actually really, really awkward. So what they decided to do was get a wide strip of elastic, make sure that's glued in there nice and securely, so it's basically easy slip on and off. With everything that's stuck inside the mask, and obviously with the elastic pull of this, all you got to do is just put your head in. Whew. There you go. Oh. Hang on, we've got a little bit of a runaway fluff going on here. So basically, yep, you just pull it on and it holds it nice and closely to your face. Obviously, as I said, too big for me because it's not made to fit my face. And you actually have an articulated jaw on this mask, so if you open your mouth real wide, the jaw opens. Again, works better when it actually fits you. It's a little bit hard for me to actually show, but you can see, just naturally talking, the bottom jaw is moving a bit, but you can get a fair bit of movement out of there. Obviously, you don't want to open it out too much, or you get the Ninja Turtles thing where you can see your mouth behind the actual fake Chewbacca mouth, which is a little bit creepy, but when you're standing like 7 foot, people aren't really going to see that, so you don't want to add anything in front because it is going to be mostly where you're going to get your air from in this, so you don't want anything obstructing it. One other thing that was changed on this mask was actually the paint job on the mouth and the teeth. So you got the nose and the mouth, they are actually cast in latex and mounted separately on the solid base for the head, but on the inside, the tongue, the teeth and the gums are actually cast out of resin. So the teeth were left as the natural just resin colour, which is off-white, and the gums were done in a very bright neon pink. Obviously, me being me, I was like, I gotta repaint that because it's gotta look good, even though it's something that is mostly hidden by the latex itself. You're still gonna see the teeth poking through the lips, especially when you open the jaw. So I've just gone over the teeth and the gums and a little bit of the tongue, just with a bit of extra paint, just make it look like, you know, this is actually a real animal, not just some resin stuck in a mask. But hey, this is definitely the coolest bit of the suit, and it's very weird to have a decapitated Wookiee sitting on a pile of boxes. And finally, we're actually moving on to the bit that took the most time to figure out, which were the stilts, because the stilts we're now using for the suit are not the stilts that originally came with the costume. So the original stilts that came with the suit were all made of wood, and you got like a shoe that you put your foot in, strap your calf into it, and you'd be able to walk. Now, I know Jason, who is the Chewbacca we know, has said, you know, he's snapped a few in the past. But Dad, being someone who is a builder and has quite thick calves, meant that standing in it, you were already completely off balance, and where the foot was in relation to where the rest of the stilt was just wasn't right. So on the first test wear, literally the first day we got the suit, he took 3 steps and one of the stilts just completely snapped. How's it for walking now, you're all fully geared up? Oh! What was that? Was that you? Despite how big your leg is, it shouldn't snap within 3 steps. And where it snapped was actually on a weak point, because it's where the screw was that was actually holding in the wooden dowels to support it. Obviously, we let Evil Chimp know that there was a problem with the suit, and he was very helpful and sent us out a load of fur in order to help us actually make a second set of stilts. But that's something to be aware of if you're not really skinny wearing Chewbacca. The original stilts that come with this costume may be a problem, so that might be an extra cost to you. So these stilts are actually modified decorator stilts. A lot of Chewie cosplayers don't use metal for the stilts purely because they do make a creaking sound when you walk. So for these stilts, we have tried really hard to minimize that sound, so everything in there has been oiled, Vaseline on the springs, put foam over certain places just to try and muffle the sound. But honestly, even if there's a little bit of a squeak, we prefer having the stability and actually have comfortable stilts than having something that can snap halfway through an event. So with these stilts, the original straps were taken off and a pair of Dad's old shoes were glued and screwed into the base plate. Purely so it's tight, it's fitting, but you can get in and out of them easily, as when you've got the trousers on over the stilts, it is quite restricting. So for any reason you need to get out of that costume quickly, it's easy to do. Obviously, you still need to build up a leg shape around the stilt, so we did the same that Evil Chimp did with the wooden stilts and actually use EVA foam around the front just to build out that leg shape. And the same that is done on the inside of the Chewbacca mask, we got some self-adhesive felt and just covered the whole of the frame, which is just to stop the netting of the trousers catching on any of the bits of metal, because there's some screws that stick out, things of that nature. It just means that, again, we're not damaging the suit by putting it on and taking it off. Bits were salvaged from the old stilts, like the toes and a couple of little bits of fur, and Dad made a custom base plate for the stilts out of a sheet of aluminium, and these are glued onto the original stilt base. Now the good thing about these stilts is where it pivots, it means you can walk a lot more naturally, even with a bigger base on it. So just made sure that the toes were pointed upwards, so in no way when you're walking do you catch them, because that's the last thing you want, is to catch it and fall forward. And they're up a little bit at the back too, so you also don't catch the back of your heel on the floor either. There is rubber on the bottom of the plates as well, just to give that little bit of extra grip when walking around. Then with some extra netting and the extra fur sent over by Evil Chimp, just glued down the rest of the fur to the strips and added it to the bottom of the foot, just to make sure that the leg and the feet were covered so you couldn't see the join line. So that's it, that's the first proper rebel in this household. I'm not counting K2SO because technically he's still an Imperial droid. This guy is, he helped blow up the Death Star. I don't know why I'm allowing him in here. But Chewie should hopefully be making his first appearance at an event next month. Fingers crossed if all goes well. So I'll obviously be sharing pictures and videos of that either on my Instagram or on here, depending what we can do on the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the look at the Chewbacca costume. As I said, we will be upgrading it with a C-3PO later in the year after the current really big build and people on Patreon know about is done. So stay tuned if you want to see that build coming later. The Republic Commander build will be coming later in the year as well for people who are asking. It's just another couple of projects have jumped in front of that purely because they're not going to take as long as that armor kit, and honestly I really do not want to rush that armor kit. Also, as I said, we'll be looking at some of Tramp's stuff a bit more closely in a couple of other videos just to help out any new people that are coming to Stormtrooper cosplay. They're helping us out with some electronics and bits of pieces for said big project. And obviously I'll be looking at the amp and also their Blast FX 11, which is really cool. So again, thank you guys for watching. Big shout out to my supporters on Patreon, especially Jeff Kenny and this guy right here. So I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, may the Force be with you.